Good afternoon, Pain is Dead. What's rapping? We are back again today talking about tools. We talked about in the beginning, this vlog is going to contain people, products, Pain is Dead, and places. Today we're touching on products, specifically tools within the industry. Take a listen in today. We sit down with Adam Ship of ProSeries and talk about knives, how they're critical, how the construction is critical, and how it works for you as an installer, and ultimately how you can stylize a knife to make sure that it represents what you create every day, which is one of the most creative professions out there. Listen in as we sit down with Adam. I mean, you could
start. Cut that. Cut there.
It's trying to make something cool. Cut. All right, so here's the problem. We have all of these knives, and essentially, they're all silver with a silver blade.
And they range from cheap to better quality. Somewhat.
Cheap to cheap.
Like,
really.
Who came up with this?
I don't know. It doesn't even have a back on it, so like the blade can just fall right out of the backing of it.
Is it made of tin?
Ridiculous.
What is it made out of? Plastic?
It's like the most thin metal you've ever seen in your life.
My favorite are the $2 Chinese ones that you're like, oh, I think I got it to the top. And it just kind of...
Right, well the typical knife has like 7 breaks on it. This has like 42.
That's so you can get that extra like little adjustment on your blade because you need it to come out just a little bit more.
Right, but you know what I've noticed is that some of the differentiating factor of a knife is really the design of the tip, the end of it.
Right, but that's where you break it off.
Right.
So if the knife is made for the blade, it should actually break off like right on the end right there, and
right.
It should actually support the blade. This one does not even come close. Like you can't actually break off the blade when one's out. Like it doesn't work. Can't do it.
So I wonder if any of you have really looked at a knife enough to know, do I have a knife that a blade that even actually works in my knife? And you look at this, 90%, well this is split 50-50, but 50% is along the cut, 50 is not, and would it actually snap correctly? I'm not going to try that.
I gotta hide my eyes.
Yeah, eye protection.
My favorite are these though. I mean, if you talk about like snapping correctly, like it's not even close. Right there.
Right.
I mean, if you were to actually use the right blade, like this is the right blade. It's not even close.
So there's only one advantage to this knife, and the only advantage is that, and they now have a tool that kind of supersedes it as well, is this rides in a recess and keeps your blade right in the middle, which I like. That's legit. But the bottom line is it's a plastic housing knife, and it doesn't last. You drop it a couple times. And it's apart. It also has the 42 snaps.
But here's the thing though. If you're cutting in the middle of a panel, you don't actually want to cut in the middle because usually you wrap the fender to the hood, right?
Right.
And then you want to cut on the hood side,
right,
and cut it that way. You're not actually cutting it in the middle, so like, what's the point?
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, what's the point of that sassy tool then? Because the sassy tools, that's the whole premise, is that it rides right along the panels.
And you want to actually cut right in the middle, but most of the time you're not because you're actually trying to cut on one side or the other. So that means you have to bring out more blade.
Okay.
And hold it out that way.
And this is also utilizing a 45-degree blade, which isn't really even in the market.
Window tinters use it.
Window tinters. Okay.
They do.
Well, so
they cut your glass too sometimes.
Yeah. Well, depending on the blade, right?
Depending on the blade.
So, I mean, ultimately, you have all these knives. Great selection, right? You can buy them at Home Depot. You can buy these at vinyl distributors throughout the industry. Everybody's got a knife. Everybody sells a knife, but there's only 2 or 3 of them that actually are functional, good products, and then there's all this other noise in the industry that is.
Well, what if you're left-handed? We didn't discuss that. Don't you normally just roll the blade over?
Right.
But the big seller of the red dot is that it's left or right-handed.
Okay.
So,
but in
couldn't
doing
you just
that,
take a normal blade and roll it over?
Yeah, but in doing that, you don't support the blade. And you notice on the red dot, which has traditionally always been my favorite product, is that there's no support on the blade. So when you're snapping the blade, you just got to hope that it's going to follow that channel.
Oh yeah, and if it doesn't, it shatters.
Right.
Yeah, and it will go in your eye.
Eye protection. Okay. So with everything out here, I mean, we even have, I mean, there's blue. This is like, this is serious right here. This is I mean, this thing compared to the NT is a monster.
No, it looks like they actually took a shroud and put a piece of metal and put it around an NT, and then just, for some reason, like, why? So you can hold it in your hand a little bit better? I mean, what is the purpose of that, other than it weighs it down?
Well, I mean, it's super heavy, and the bottom line is when you're trying to cut and be very, trying to be very gentle with the cut and try to make the right cut, you've got this big weighty thing holding your hand and causing you probably to pull down instead of just follow a nice straight line. So weight is a big deal when it comes to blades and knives, I think.
Right. And then, I mean, so that brings us to like this thing. And this is, again, they shroud this in plastic to try to give it some color. It's a metal. It's probably some sort of aluminum. It comes from Japan. But this has a tiny blade. And I don't understand what, like, is this like a little things matter?
No, I like that blade, actually. If you're trying to get into a very, very small area, this actually works great. And it's combined with the little mini knife that you can only get from Japan. And this works great if you're in a very tight space or you're underneath a bumper and you don't have the room for a knife that's that long. But again, it doesn't align with the blade where you snap. And this one is so fine that if you run it out much past one snap, it's super, super flexible. So you're not getting a clean cut because the actual blade is bending,
right?
Even if you're carrying the knife in a straight line. So X-nay on that one too, because
but a lot of times you want something versatile that's going to work with everything.
Right.
Because how many guys are really going to go back to their tool cart to get another knife? They're going to go, oh man, this is a little cut. I know I got to get this bumper done. I'm already way up upside down the car. I got to get this one little cut. I mean, what are they going to do? Roll themselves out from under the car, go over to their toolkit and use it? No. Yeah. They're going to literally use whatever they have in their pocket, and they're just going to get it done.
Right.
And hopefully it's a 30-degree blade, and it's right. But I mean,
so when you talk about all these knives, you got different housings. You've got housings that have sheaths around them. You have plastic housings, metal housings, 30-degree blade, 45-degree blades. You got all these options. But here's one more thing, one more underlying factor that doesn't exist with this series of knives or selection of knives is style. Like what? I mean, you could match up to this matches some products on the market, but I mean, who wants to carry around a yellow knife? I mean, that's as bad as wearing a yellow glove.
It gets dirty.
It does get dirty, and you can't even wash it.
No, I don't even know. I think it would rust.
So stylized, these guys. That's the bottom line. Is these guys create amazing products. I mean, when you're talking about a color change wrap and some of the creativity that goes into color change wraps, these guys are creating masterpieces. So when you're talking about the right tool to define who you are as an artist, do you pick a silver knife with a silver blade? I mean, that's everything here.
I think you pick the plastic one with the plastic and chintzy little thing that's made for, grandma who's using her art supplies.
Yeah, no.
But seriously, there is nothing.
So there's got to be something. You've got to create something. There's got to be something more than just what's here. I mean, you even have this little white knife, which is kind of cool. Nice blade, 30 degrees. Actually, look at it. Actually lines up perfect with the snap. So you're getting a little bit of style with that, but to me, again, you're right back at the silvery housing with a silver blade.
It's like a sea of everybody's the same color.
Everybody's the same. And in this industry, I mean, I'm not the same as an installer as the guy next to me. I don't want to create the same project as the guy next to me. So how do I stand out when these are the options I have for tools?
I don't know. I mean, it's got to be something different. Maybe it's time to make something cool. Okay.
So what if something cool consisted of just changing what the mindset was on everything that's been out before? I got an idea. What if you actually created something that tied in with a brand?
I mean, that'd be a great idea.
I mean, hey, maybe you can even match colors. That's true. You just hit some things that actually like tie together. Like, hey, maybe this looks good, right?
Match your shirt.
Match your shirt.
That's exactly right.
So here's the solution. The solution is a red ProBlade in a black ProKnife housing. And this is just prototype, but ultimately prototypes turn into finished products. And you've got a product here that ultimately will hit the US market within the next 30 to 60 days and change. I mean, you put this in the middle of everything we have right here, and it's completely different than every knife on the market.
Totally different.
And so,
I mean, the reality is black knives matter.
Black knives matter. They do.
They do.
That's a good one. I like that. So if black knives matter, would you buy another knife on the market? Is there a reason to buy another knife on the market when you can have something that looks great, that ties in with your branding and everything else you do, and ties in with other tools that you use on the same brand line? I mean, why would you choose anything different? And furthermore, when you finish this blade off, I mean, you're just going to stick a silver blade back in there?
I mean, I guess you could, but it wouldn't look right.
You could, but we talked a little bit earlier about making sure that the actual structure of the knife is set up to snap your blade properly. And if you look at this, you actually see that the knife is cut and designed in a way that your blade snaps perfectly, because it gives the support there to snap and break away properly. You don't have to worry about it flying and hitting you in the eye, cutting your cornea. I mean,
yeah,
we're talking about some serious damage here.
Of course. I mean, but that's the big thing that a lot of people don't know. They just throw blades in there. They get like the cheap ones, or they'll get the expensive ones, or they'll throw Olfas and a Pro A1, or they'll throw, whatever blades and whatever, and they don't understand that they're actually manufactured to fit each individual housing.
So you mean to tell me that not only does this new Pro knife look amazing, but it's actually functional?
It's functional.
It's kind of like a touchscreen tip.
Correct.
Function.
Always.
Function. Okay. So
form and function.
Form and function. Style, form, and function. So ultimately, the red blade black knife is not only a stylized shift in the industry, but a functional shift in the industry. And you got all these people making these tools. They all claim that they're the latest and greatest, that they're the next big thing. But if you actually look at any of these knives and see how they work and what they're meant to do, they don't do the job.
Right. And think about it this way. If you're going to do a rap competition, let's just say, and you're supposed to be one of the best, and you're rapping with the same knife as everybody else, what's going to set you apart? That's the other thing. Like when you're watching somebody, like if you're like one of the best in the world, like you should be using something that makes it stand out.
Right. Well, it's funny.
It's like soccer shoes.
Well, like any sport shoes.
Right.
I mean, like no athlete jumps off the bus with, the Bobo all white shoe from whomever.
Correct.
They jump off the bus with the name brand product that looks good and goes with their uniform. And
Reynaldo, you're wearing pink shoes or green or whatever it is, because you are the best.
Right.
And that's something to be said too.
Okay. So interesting concept and a different way to think about tools and how you do your job every day and what you provide to a customer, and really ultimately making sure that your style that you carry, which is everything for an installer, matches what you put out. So if you're going to put out the same old bland, silver housing, silver blade, doesn't snap properly type of, if you're going to put out that same type of product, then these are for you, because you can get them cheap. They're on Amazon. You found them. They're $1 a piece. It's great. Saving some money.